Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over an upcoming potential winter storm for parts of the northern plains, especially the central plains down through the Tennessee Valley, all the way up the mid-Atlantic and then into the coastal northeast, where some of these areas could be picking up closer to 6 inches of snowfall. We'll have your snowfall forecast at the end of today's video, but we'll also be discussing when this event will be taking place and timing this out for you guys, and just talking about what could change in the forecast and what is really important to know, to look at, and what is really important to know when you're making your forecast or when you're looking at the system, because there are a couple different factors that are going to have a huge player or are going to be a huge player into how much snowfall some of these areas do actually end up seeing. So let's get right into it here, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. We have a bunch of winter storm warnings from this system that's going to be diving into the northern plains, moving up into the interior northeast, and then another system that'll be riding up the east coast, and they're somewhat related, so I will be giving the snowfall forecast for both of these kind of combined because they are somewhat related, and both of them have a very big effect on how the other one is going to play out. Again, those winter storm warnings in Montana, Wyoming, and even into a little bit of Colorado, mainly in higher elevations in Wyoming and Colorado, but even some of the lower elevations of Montana getting into the winter storm warnings. Winter weather advisories up also for Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, even into parts of Colorado, and then back through into parts of Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska. And we have some more winter weather advisories back through into parts of southern Michigan, the northern UP of Michigan, as well as western upstate New York, where you actually have some lake effect snow warnings also in effect. Winter storm watches are already in effect for parts of western and northwestern North Carolina, southwestern Virginia, and into southeastern West Virginia. We have some avalanche warnings for central Colorado there, as well as some wind chill warnings in this color right here, and then the lighter blue color which surrounds that's the wind chill advisory, where some of those wind chills could get closer to negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Yesterday's video was all about that. We also have some more wind chill advisories back through northern and central Alaska, as well as for the northern coast of Alaska, the northern slope of Alaska. They're dealing with some wind chill warnings in effect. And then yesterday's continental United States records, I added a couple of them onto there. I'm now also doing the rainfall or the precipitation totals and the snowfall records for the continental United States, just to add a couple different ones onto there. Yesterday we had a high temperature over the entire United States of 94 degrees at Zapata, Texas, and then in Daniel, Wyoming, they got to negative 17 degrees. In terms of precipitation, this was actually in snow, but if you were to melt it down, you would have got 1.4 inches, and that was the record for the entire United States. And then for snowfall, actual snowfall amounts, 17.4 inches, 1 west-southwest or 1 mile west-southwest of Twin Lakes, Michigan there in the UP of Michigan. They got 17.4 inches out of that system yesterday, along with any more lake effect that they will still be getting off of Lake Superior. So let's get right into today's video, and let's start off with a general synopsis of what we could be dealing with according to the Weather Prediction Center and kind of timing it out with their forecast. So we have this low pressure up through into the northern Rockies, generally right around here, and then we're going to be seeing another low pressure move out of the southern states. Currently it's right here, but that's going to be moving into the southern states up the east coast, and that's going to become your sort of nor'easter type system. It's very similar to what Orlena had in terms of where the heaviest snowfall will be, but it's not going to be as slow as Orlena. So instead of seeing 2 or 3 inch per hour amounts, 2 or 3 inch per hour bands stay over the same area for maybe 24 hours, it'll only stay over that area for maybe 4 to 6 hours. So it'll be it'll be like Orlena in terms of the precipitation type and velocity, but in terms of the speed, this is going to be in and out within about 10 to 12 hours. So it's going to be much quicker than Winter Storm Orlena. By the way, I will most likely have another update video on this out tomorrow, since the storm doesn't really take shape over the East Coast until Sunday. So we're seeing that snow. This would be by Saturday morning, so tomorrow morning we're seeing that snow move into the northern plains. By tomorrow, later in the morning into the early afternoon, we see that first low pressure start to head up into into parts of the Ohio Valley and into the Tennessee Valley. This is going to move to the north. We're going to see this low pressure down here really take over, and that's what's going to start to pull away further to the east. So we see the first low pressure, which it fast forwarded a lot here, but you can tell that this was that low pressure that was back through the Tennessee Valley, and this one, which I'll do in a different color, this one right here was the low pressure that was down back here. So this one went on a track further, just straight to the east pretty much. This one went on a track north and eastward because of the setup of this pattern. So this low pressure further to the south is going to become your main story, and it's going to deliver a lot of snow as we get into the coastal corridor of the Northeast and the interior part of the Mid-Atlantic. And then the Weather Prediction Center doesn't go far enough out in terms of their forecast for us to see the entirety of that event, but we're going to use the models to time that out for you guys. So this would be by tomorrow, right around 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We see more of that snow out to the west, so back through Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, getting into some of that snowfall. And then it starts to move into the picture. We see for northern Missouri, southern Iowa, getting into more of that snow by 12 p.m. tomorrow Central Time. Here's by 3 p.m. Central Time tomorrow, and this would be 4 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. We might see an initial heavy snow start to set up for parts of northern Georgia, northwestern South Carolina, southwestern North Carolina, because you will have a core and kind of a pocket of cold air that gets wedged in to the southern Appalachians that might allow for a brief start at some heavy snowfall for some of these areas where you could put up a quick couple inches of snowfall. And then as we play this forward a little bit more, this would be by right around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, that heavier area of snow moving further to the north. By the way, if you live in northeastern Georgia or northwesternmost South Carolina, watch out for the potential for a little bit of sleet. That might cause a little bit of issues. Sleet or freezing rain is a possibility, mainly with the topography in the valleys and the higher elevations of those areas. With all of the elevation differences, you could get a little bit of sleet or freezing rain to mix in there. So we're seeing that northern piece of this system go up to the north, and those same areas that were just impacted with that winter storm just yesterday and actually are still being impacted with that storm are going to get impacted again with a quick 1 to 3 inches. It's going to be the bigger story back through here where you have that low pressure near the Carolinas, the eastern Carolinas, and as anywhere pretty much west of there is going to be in that snow area. So you can see for northwestern North Carolina, western Virginia, southern West Virginia getting into some of that snow. This would be by 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. Here would be by 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 a.m. Central Time on Sunday morning. So we have heavy snow back through Virginia, West Virginia, back through the Tennessee Valley, and then we see, again, that northern piece of this system up to the north into the Ohio Valley, and especially the northern and western part of the Ohio Valley and into the lower Great Lakes, getting in on some of that snow. We are dealing with more of the heavier snowfall back through the Mid-Atlantic. Exactly where the storm tracks is going to have a big difference, and a lot bigger of a difference than it would in many other cases, because if this is closer to the coast, we have enough cold air in place that it'll likely be mostly snow for a lot of these areas, except the one issue that we might have is if this goes too far to the south, then you won't have the same intensity and therefore not the same snow totals. If this goes too far to closer to the coast, which seems very unlikely by this point, then you might have some mixing issues. The bigger question is how far or how close to the coast does that get? Does it stay kind of right here where it's mostly snow and actually heavy snow at times, or does it kind of go out like this where it's mostly snow, it's actually all snow for a lot of these areas, but it's lighter snow where you don't get as much accumulation, you don't have the same intensity with the snow. So those are really the big issues as of right now. Here would be by tomorrow morning, right around 4 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 a.m. Central Time. Here's by 7 a.m. Eastern Time. So now we're starting to deal with those very, very heavy bands of precipitation centered over the Mid-Atlantic. By this point, from New York City to about Baltimore is where you're dealing with the heaviest snowfall rates by this point. Exactly where the storm tracks, again, is going to dictate how heavy these bands are. The NAM is indicating 2 to 3 inches per hour in the darkest blues, and whether that's 2 to 3 inches per hour or just 1 to 2 inches per hour, that slight difference will have a big effect on who gets the heaviest snowfall totals and how much those heaviest snowfall totals are. Is the max 6 inches, or is the max maybe 10 or 12 inches like some of these models are showing? So this would be by Sunday right around 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Here's by 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're looking at now the heaviest snow into southeastern New England, back through into parts of Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, southeastern Massachusetts getting into the heaviest snow totals, and then even parts of eastern New England, so up through New Hampshire and Maine getting in on some of the snow. And then this is when the model ends. This would be by 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we're dealing with snow through Maine. This model doesn't go out far enough, but you could assume that we're going to get more moderate to maybe even heavy snow back through, especially coastal Maine, out of this system. Here's what the European model shows. We were just looking at the NAM model, and we're going to show you what that one shows as well. But the European model has a bit of a peculiar look. It has kind of the system go out like this and then just shift eastward instead of kind of carrying on with that northeastward trajectory and kind of passing like that. We'll have to see if that does actually happen, because it ends up kind of cutting out southeastern New England out of the heaviest snow totals. So only southeasternmost Massachusetts gets those 6+ inch amounts. And then you can see that general 4 to 6 inch area, according to the European model, of that heaviest snowfall totals through the mid-Atlantic. Here's what the RGEM model is showing, which is the high-resolution Canadian. It actually did do quite well picking out the pockets of heaviest snow on the last storm, where it actually picked out this area to get the heaviest snowfall totals. Whether that happens again and whether it does do well with this system again is still something we don't know just yet. But you can see that maximum area in that purple and that pink area, where it's looking at 6 to 10+ inches of snowfall according to the RGEM model, which is again the high resolution Canadian. Here's what the NAM 3CAM model is showing, and this is one of the more aggressive snow totals, but the NAM actually did do quite well, especially the NAM 12CAM model. It did very well with the last system, kind of close to what the RGEM did. So we do want to take this into consideration. Even though sometimes it does like to overdo these storms, it is right every once in a while. So I don't think you'll see these huge amounts like this, maybe closer to 20 inches according to this, but we can't count it out. We can't count out saying that maybe a couple spots can get over 10 inches. It is a possibility that we want to watch out for. Here's what the ICON model is showing, which is the German model, and you can see generally closer to what the European model is showing. The UK Met model a little bit further north and west, but generally same area getting the heaviest snow totals. And then here's what the GFS is showing, and it's actually on board with the rest of the models, also showing more of those heavier snow totals back through into anywhere from southeastern Massachusetts to about western Virginia, kind of in a southwest to northeast stripe, getting into the heaviest snow totals. And then here's what the National Weather Service is showing, and this doesn't go throughout, this actually goes throughout the entire event, but you're gonna have to wait a couple more model run cycles for this for the National Weather Service to really up these amounts to maybe the higher or more likely totals. They're gonna stay a little bit more conservative until we have a little bit more data on what could happen with this event. So let's continue on, and let's look at another factor where it actually tracks. So this is an ensemble or a mean average of where most of the models kept the low pressure. So all these little L's on the screen is one of the ensemble members for the European model and where they brought the low pressure. So you can see that we have more of these models actually keeping this right throughout that band right here, which is usually the primary area. So if this was kind of blocked off, if this low pressure lingered around, this would be another blockbuster northeast snowstorm. And the only thing preventing it from being such a big snowstorm is that it's going to have to head out further to the north and to the east, because it doesn't have any blocking in place. If you had a little bit of blocking in place to hold it in there, this would be a big storm. But either way, we have a fairly prime setup that is going right through that 40-70 benchmark to get the heaviest snowfall totals. So we have a very good track, but exactly where that tracks again is going to be the bigger issue. Here would be my snowfall total from now through from Saturday through Sunday, so tomorrow through Sunday. This is what I'm expecting in terms of snowfall totals. Under an inch of snowfall is expected anywhere throughout the Central Plains, back through into the lower Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, into the eastern Tennessee Valley, the southern Appalachias, and back through the Mid-Atlantic and most of the Northeast, actually, except for the interior areas. Looking at under an inch of snowfall, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall for these areas back through, again, the Central Plains, even into the Northern Rockies, another area through the lower Great Lakes, and then where the southern piece of energy comes into play, now the interior Mid-Atlantic, the coastal Northeast, looking at some of those 1 to 3 inch amounts. I'm expecting 1 to 3 inch amounts for those areas, and then here's that 3 to 6 inch area, and you can see that again the Central Plains from about Wyoming down through northern Missouri, and then another area from northeastern Georgia all the way up to about southeastern Massachusetts, getting into the 3 to 6 inch area, and then there might be a couple spots of 6 to 12 inch amounts over western North Carolina, mainly in the higher elevations. The lower elevations will still get maybe 4 to 6 inches, but especially in those higher elevations and some of the more of those mountains above 3,000 feet or so. And then also a little dot in central Nebraska. There seems to be a good agreement that those areas might get closer to 6 or even 7 or 8 inches of snowfall out of this event. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.